Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Lines and Podcast. Here to talk about everything Club Leon in English. As you guys know, we are in Leagues Cup, so we're here to talk about everything that happened in the last game versus LA Galaxy and looking ahead of our next rival. So we'll definitely have lots to talk about with that and just overall Liga MX versus MLS teams and outcomes and all that stuff from the group stages. So for everybody watching us via Periscope on Twitter and YouTube, hello, welcome. Feel free to let us know what your comments are in the comment section. If you agree, disagree, anything you guys want to say, we'll definitely share it on the screen to keep the conversation going. Carlos Louis, how are we feeling moving on to the next round?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot too pretty about it, but we did our job. We did what we had to do. And considering how many teams that were expected to play a major role in this tournament struggled to even do that, I think a pretty straightforward group stage is the best thing we could have asked for. And now it's time to get into the part that really matters.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow. Obviously, we're not at home. We're away, Salt Lake. I don't know I don't even know if we have a fan base down there, but there might be a few scattered green shirts in the crowd. I hope. But
I expect to see more than a few.
I think I saw on Twitter, wasn't there Los de Arriba? I think they posted about Utah. I don't know if they're like pregame or something like that.
Yeah,
I think not necessarily just the people that are going that live in the immediate area, but I think people are going to be coming in from all over the place to see this match. It's a pretty central location from a lot of places, not too terribly far from anywhere. So I think a lot of people are gonna be making this trip. I saw something I'm part of a WhatsApp group which I never contribute to, but a lot of LDA people are in that, and there was somebody was organizing a transport from, I think maybe from LA actually, to Salt Lake City for that. So I think we'll be pretty well represented.
Man, that's
it's an 11-hour trip. Yeah, it's an 11-hour drive.
Yeah, it's a pretty long drive.
From here in Portland, it'd be about 15. I will be there, but I'm not driving. I will fly in a plane.
That's great. Just feels like Leon has it's been a week. No, since the last play.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Like it just feels like forever.
Was it last Wednesday? It was last Wednesday, right?
Last Wednesday. Yeah, because it got moved to Wednesday or Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going to be an 8-day rest.
And and lots of crazy stuff in the Leagues Cup happened since then. So we've just kind of flown under the radar. We just kind of took care of our business and, let the other teams have more theatrical performances. Obviously there were some big lopsided wins and losses for some hard-hitting Liga MX teams, and some much more extravagant results than the ones we had. But we're used to kind of flying under the radar. We're the equipo incómodo. Nobody wants to talk about us, even when we are involved in big-time theatrical results. So this is nothing new for us. We're kind of just doing what we always do. We go in and we take care of our own business, and then before you know it, we're one of the last few remaining. So hopefully that happens the same way this time.
Yeah. Now, it's my understanding that Salt Lake is actually doing really well in MLS. And considering their home, it's a home field advantage. We've never played there. I don't know what the temperature is like, but I imagine it's not good. We're basically going against the grain playing in Utah. So
yeah, certainly not the friendly confines of either of the LA stadiums. That's for sure. where we have the campaign where Los Angeles is basically a second home for us now. But Salt Lake City, this will be the first time Leon has ever played there. So I expect it to be hot, although it is a relatively late 8:30 p.m. start time, local hour. So I don't expect it to be too unbearable, but I do expect it to be a pretty warm day. The Real Salt Lake really went on a campaign to fill up their stadium. They made all the tickets $15 for this game, which is pretty reasonable.
Very cheap.
It's a classic franchise in the league that always has a lot of grassroots support. I mean, it's still kind of a relic of the era when MLS was basically a suburbs league. The stadium is located a little ways out of town, and they're trying to attract that kind of fan base, but they've always drawn well. They've always fielded pretty good teams. They haven't won anything major in quite some time, but I expect it to be a pretty good environment. And it's definitely not. It's not going to be easy. We have no reason to think we'll just come out and feel right at home here. But then again, we didn't in Vancouver either, and managed to get the result there under similar circumstances. So I'm confident that we should be able to go in there and get a positive result.
I saw the weather. The weather says 40% chance tomorrow rain.
Oh no!
But it says a high of 79, a low of 62. So by 8:30, hopefully it'd be really good, cool breeze weather compared to I guess what they had in LA because they were like sweating.
Yeah.
So good weather, cheap tickets. I didn't know that. Cheap tickets. That's great. They should just do the whole tournament like that. $15. I mean, you see what they're charging in freaking Miami with the whole mess.
Oh yeah. Well, it's supply and demand, Cardi. It's like dynamic pricing on Uber. Prices are slightly higher now, sometimes more than slightly, because the demand is increased. Yeah, but for Leon RSL, I don't know. I think this obviously RSL took care of business against Seattle Sounders at home, and then were completely demolished by Rayados. So, their recent history, recent being the last week against Liga MX, against solid Liga MX opposition, is not good. So hopefully we can use that to our advantage as well. I mean, I think pound for pound, Leon definitely has the stronger roster. Even with all the bajas, I think we still have a much better roster top to bottom than RSL does. Though RSL, you're right, Carlos, has done well in the league. They figure to be a factor come playoff time in MLS play, but I still like our chances.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't think we did our best against Vancouver, and we certainly didn't do our best against Galaxy. I feel like there's something missing with this team. Like jugamos a medio gas or something, Like we have yet to show, even in league, besides Pachuca, but Pachuca's crumbling. Like I don't consider that a good win because even though we beat them by a pretty long score, I don't really consider that a good benchmark for where we're at. But every other game that we've played, we haven't really looked that great. I mean, so it is a little concerning for me going into Salt Lake, place we've never played. And I mean, the only thing I really can say is like I'm confident that we'll definitely hold our ground because we were able to do it against LAFC in LA. But at the same time, Louis said, everyone knows LA is like a second home to us. It's green. I don't know if Salt Lake will be the same. I don't know if we'll have the same weather, if we'll have the same fan base there, same support. I don't know. There's just a little doubt in me, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we definitely will not. I mean, I can say that right now. It's not going to be anything like the last few trips to LA have been. For sure not. But we didn't have a ton of support in Vancouver either. I mean, like we didn't play our best there necessarily, but we were the superior team. And I don't think any of it had to do with how much support was in the stands for us. you can't count on that for any of this tournament. That's just not this tournament. We've discussed this on past episodes. This tournament is not designed to make Liga MX teams feel at home, except for obviously like America, that's pretty much had the home field advantage everywhere they played. That just kind of goes with the territory for a team like that. But I still think we're going to be able to go out there and do enough to win. I mean, at this point, when it's still kind of just a survive and advance mode. Once we get further along the bracket, if we are able to win tomorrow's match and move further along down the bracket, the competition is going to get stiffer. It's going to take more than just a survive and advance mentality to move on, because we are definitely. I mean, if you look at the bracket the way it is and what we would have to do to actually make it to the final, it's pretty daunting. We're on the tougher side of the bracket for sure. You look at the teams we're going to have to go through. Obviously, luckily in the next round, you have a potential Tigres Monterrey. They would beat up on each other. You know, there's things like that going on, but still, we are definitely on the tougher side of the bracket, and it's a round of 32, not even a round of 16. It's a long path still to go to get to the title, to the final. And so at this point, yeah, we haven't been our best. It's a very small sample size. I'll give them that. They played 3 Liga MX matches. They were definitely the superior team in 2 of them, and arguably the superior team in 2.5 of them. They only have 3 points to show for it. You're right, Carlos. There's a little something missing. It just doesn't feel quite right yet. But if we look at things more, if we analyze things more, I don't know what's the word. If we take the heart out of it a little bit, they've been the superior team in 2, if not 2.5 of their league matches. They were the better team in both of their Leagues Cup matches, even if they were not dominating necessarily, but they were the better team. And I think they will do enough to get past RSL, which is enough at this point. It won't be later, but it is now.
Well, I think what happens is, like, you know, especially in the past, like, we've been the better team, but we just haven't been able to make the opportunities that we create, because we do create a lot of opportunities. It's just putting them away and seguir con la garra and finishing the game strong. You know what I mean? And I think we've talked about this in like the lack of sense of urgency sometimes, or, you know, las que no metes te las meten. Like, you know, it's happened to us before. So, comment here, Arturo said, we need the striker. The amount of chances that Rubio had against Galaxy is crazy that he couldn't convert one. I was like, really, Rubio? Come on. Like, he did have a handful, and it was frustrating, and that game should have been more. It just should have been more.
Yeah, that seems
to
be...
I agree with that. I mean, he was never intended to be. I mean, he was intended to be a revulsivo. He was never intended to be our starting 9. I don't think he knows what to do with that much responsibility. He's not that kind of player. I think he can be very effective in the role that he was intended to serve. But yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Hopefully one shows up on our doorstep in the next few weeks.
We'll definitely talk about the rumor that that's been going around. But on that note, Victor Davila has not paid his cláusula. I guess he was supposed to pay it last week, but I think now he's saying he'll pay it on Thursday of this week, tomorrow. So I know we were talking about it off of the pod on our group chat, but you guys had any more thoughts about that, of possible situations ending in good, bad? Who knows? What's the longer
this drags on, and the more opportunity Los Martinez have to be interviewed about it, the uglier this gets, and the more tarnished his legacy is with the club, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I hope that we were talking about this in the chat. I hope that the cláusula payment never goes through, and they just have to find a way to keep him, because he's more I mean, that's in the short term, having him play a major role is more valuable to us than anything that 12 million could get us, in my opinion. I think, you know, eventually that money could be put to amazing use to make this club even better. But in the short term, which is what really matters, given all we are playing for at the moment and the Club World Cup that's coming up, he's more valuable to us than the 12 million he hasn't deposited yet. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but Honestly, I just hope it doesn't go through and this all goes away. And come on, man. Since when has going to play in the Russian league counted as the sueño europeo for anybody? Like, people are like, oh, he had better words for Jorge Diaz-Price, who was a nobody, than he did for Davila, who was a major role player in our first ever international title and is going to leave us with $12 million. Bro, like, and he wants to go complete his European dream. Playing in the Russian league is nobody's European dream. I'm sorry. That's not the Europe. When they're talking about the Sueño Europeo, they're not talking about the Russian league, a league nobody watches, a league that does not export players to better leagues in Europe, and a league that is embroiled in controversy because of the politics of its country, and a league that, frankly, isn't as good as Liga MX. So I think there's a lot to criticize Victor Davila for, mostly the timing of this. Mm-hmm. Like, I think, the words of Jesus Martinez were really telling. You ask for the number 10, then you play 2 matches. Obviously that's going to leave a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Certainly is leaving one in mine.
I mean, I think the offer that he received had to be juicy and enticing enough for him to want to leave, because he's leaving on the table, obviously, a Liga MX title that he hasn't won yet. He's leaving on the table Club World Cup that he hasn't even played yet in, the number 10 that he was given, and I'm pretty sure Leon pays him really well. I'm pretty sure he probably got a raise after winning the CCL.
Well, so not every player has 12 million in the bank to just say, "Oh, I got to pay my own buyout clause for 12 million. Here you go." Like, not every player can do that.
He's not paying it. I mean, the way it's situated is, he's quote unquote paying it por debajo del agua, which means they'll find a way to wire the money. Yeah, they'll wire the money to him somehow. That's why from what I heard on Twitter, on the other side with Pachuca, with Luis Chavez, is he's having trouble having the money come in order for him to pay his own buyout clause to Grupo Pachuca. So we have 2 players that are trying to buy their buyout clauses. They're having problems. I mean, and I keep forgetting, Victor Davila's 25 years old. Like, he's not like, older. He's not like super chavito. I agree with Carlos. I think for him, maybe at that age, he's like, which I disagree with, with exactly what I disagree in the thought of what Louis saying, like, why go to Russia? Like, that's, you're going to play the Russian Premier League, no champions, no Europa, no nothing. I don't know. It's just whatever, I think with Carlos, the amount of money they're probably paying him, no sé qué le vendieron, and he's like, it's now or never. And I guess that's just the thought process.
Yeah. And I think him leaving and making that decision, whether or not the fee goes through, I don't think he's coming back. I think that door's closed now. I mean,
that's what I'm thinking too.
I think
because it's like, how do you amend that? You know what I mean? Like, even with what's going on right now with
I wish I understood his thought process. Like, what is his plan? No better league in Europe is going to negotiate with the Russian league anytime in the rest of his career, frankly. What does he think he's going to do after this?
Buy his buyout clause from there as well to go somewhere else.
I mean, I'll tell you guys, it would be much easier for me to swallow if he were going to Saudi Arabia. I could at least understand that. Mm-hmm. I could understand that. It's the trendy thing to do right now. They're paying sums of money that have never been conceived of in world football until this point. I could completely understand that. But the trajectory he's putting himself on makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, it does.
Burning bridges for no reason and for what? For what gain?
I think he just realizes that his time is up here. Like he's not in debt to Leon. He doesn't owe Leon anything. He already won the CCL for us. That's a huge title. So any player, after they win a title, that's usually when they move on. They have thoughts about moving on. They start negotiating elsewhere because that's it, right? Until you win that title, like Pedro Aquino, he never wanted to leave because he felt in debt to Leon. He was like, I'm not leaving until we win a title. Once he won that title, he took off, and no one had a problem with it. I think it should be the same with Davila. He already did what he did. He gave us a title. Let him walk. It's okay. I don't have a problem with that as long as we get that 12 million, and as long as we can bring in someone to replace him.
If there were no Club World Cup in play, I would agree with you. But since there is Club World Cup in play, I don't think that argument flies. Honestly, I just don't.
Why? Why not?
Because the prize for winning CCL is the opportunity to play in a Club World Cup. I mean, he's only done half the job. I'm sorry. Like, he's only and you know, what do you go to Europe for? To play in a Champions League, to ultimately go to a Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, what is he thinking? It's stupid. I'm sorry. It is stupid. He's short-sighted. He has the wrong people in his ear. We're telling him to do stupid things. It's stupid. And he's going to regret it. And I'm going to be there when he does.
I think the timing, like we've said, is just like awful. It's just awful. I'm just afraid, not afraid, but I'm just worried. Like, okay, so what if nada se arregla and you know, it's just been a mutual like, well, no lo van a contar, no tener en cuenta. Then that relationship, like, you know, Carl said, it's kind of like, how do you come back from that? And like, you have a player that had his mind set up to go, and now he's stuck, and it's like, well, is he not going to be the same player anymore? You know, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd feel some type of way for a player that clearly doesn't want to be here, leaves, is negotiating with another team, and then he can't do it, and he comes back and he goes, well, I guess I'm staying. I'd be like, no, dude, take that number 10 off, go on the bench, or go play with La Sub-20. As good as you are, like, you know, that's a dumb decision to make. Like, you don't do that to a team. That's giving you everything.
I also don't think he thought his time was up here before this offer came in for him. That's what changed everything. This offer came in for him, and he's like, these people want me, and they're making this offer. I have to take it. He wasn't thinking about leaving Leon before that. Why ask for the number 10 if you're thinking about leaving? That's not what that just doesn't track. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why ask for the number 10? That shows that you are ready to be the dude on the squad, not that you're ready to leave.
But see, who authorized? Sorry, go ahead, Carlos. No, I was gonna say.
I was going on that same.
Yeah, who authorized and said yes, you are gonna get number 10? Like, who authorized? Like, because players pueden pedir y todo, but at the end of the day, you know.
I read somewhere. I can't remember who said it. I think it was Chico Gasca on Enfierados. He said, shout out to them, great podcast. I think they said that Nico Larcamón said, we need to give this guy number 10. And so it was through him. Maybe it was pressure, like, hey, you're not going anywhere. This is your 10. You're staying here. This is a historic number. Obviously, Chapo Montes had it. You're not going anywhere, because all those rumors had come out about him leaving in the offseason. Nothing was really concrete up until, you know, Luis Chavez was able to figure it out, and then Davila figured it out too. But I hear that number 10 was given to him, or asked to be given to him by Larcamón. So he didn't necessarily ask for it, is what I'm hearing.
Well, in any event, that says to me he was still very much in the plans, and that Larcamón figured he was still counting on this player, and the job was not finished, and that his time was not finished. And that's why I completely understand the clear aggravation and frustration in Chucho Martinez's voice when he's been asked about this. I completely understand it, and I'm with him on it. To be honest, I'm far more on the side of the directiva in this one than I am with the player.
Javier, I just wonder what type of conversation was between Larcamón and Davila. Davila was like, "Hey, boss, like, take a dip," you know, like. Well, I wonder what that conversation was. I wish I was the fly on the wall. Just curious.
Well, Larcamon's not gonna be like Chucho. They're a different position.
No, of course not. It's just a thought process that I'm like, I wonder what that conversation looked like. You know, if he was so much shouting for him to stay, and like, you know, Carlos had said giving him number 10, I wonder what that conversation was between the player and the coach.
Well, and Larcamón has a reputation of being a player's coach, and if you see the vibe around him, the team's vibe around him, way more so than with any of the past 3 coaches. You know, the players hang out with him. Like when they're waiting for planes in the airport, whatever, the airport terminal, they hang out with him. They hang out together. It's not just, the players are off in their own little corner. Coaches are off doing their own thing. No, I mean, frankly, he's not that much older than some of them. So like I'm sure he doesn't hold anything against Davila, and he wants Davila to do what Davila wants to do, at least on the surface. But I guarantee you he was counting on him this tournament. Now he can't. Now he's not going to be able to. And that, at least in deep down in places he's not discussing openly, that's got to be frustrating for him.
Well, Arturo in the comments said as long as Mauro Linus doesn't come, which was a rumor last week at some point, but I haven't heard anything more about that.
No.
I don't care if Mauro Linus comes or not. If he's not good, he won't play. We can have as many formados in Mexico as we want. Like those don't take up any space. He can't be any worse than Diaz Price. So
yeah. I was gonna say something similar, but I was like, nah.
That was an interesting.
Is Diaz Price? Is he not in the team anymore? Because there was a post that I had saw that. So un periodista le preguntó, like, que no
that's the one I had sent to the group.
Yeah.
Okay.
So apparently he's not in the team.
There's so much information, I forget where it comes from.
I had seen it on. I don't know if I saw it on. See, I keep saying Twitter. I think I keep at X, whatever.
I'm on Twitter. I don't care about what Elon Musk has to say by changing the logo and like what are we gonna like? It's tweets. Like what are we gonna say now? Like,
X's.
Tweeting. It's called Twitter X or something.
That's confusing. No, but I had seen that, and that's why I sent it to you guys. I thought it was funny. So, but I did not fact check it with the league's official website. So maybe we should do that before we talk.
Yeah, but I do feel like maybe his time is also probably up eventually. I think él hizo el viaje to the U.S. for the Leagues Cup. I haven't seen him in any of the some players didn't. Not all the players.
He's still on there.
He's still on the roster.
Because like some people didn't make the trip, and it's because like imagine man, like he's making money with León because in the Leagues Cup, cada partido que gana el equipo, they all get I think $100,000, and they all get that split up between all the players. So yeah.
Let's see. Currently, right now, Mazatlan Necidados are playing, as well as Pachuca and Houston Dynamo, and they're both 0-0.
Yeah, I have the Pachuca Dynamo game here on my tablet off to one side.
Cool.
Nice.
And then today after would be Inter Miami. I want to say Inter Milan. Sorry, Inter Miami in Orlando City, and LAFC Juarez. Go Juarez.
I'm really curious.
You got good games.
I
mean,
me too.
Me too. I mean, although I'd almost rather León play and beat LAFC again, because that's
gonna happen. Told you guys.
How demoralizing would that be for LAFC? But
it has to happen. But it'll be great but I will.
But I don't know. Don't count out Juarez, man. They clearly see an opportunity here and want to take full advantage of it.
Yeah. Now,
and all to them.
To Juarez. I mean,
honestly,
Carlos?
LAFC haven't played. They're cold, and they weren't even looking that hot before they had that
looking
layoff.
Pretty good. Juarez is looking good in the Liga. Good in the Leagues Cup.
So honestly, LAFC might be an easier opponent than Juarez right at this moment.
For León, yeah. But in El Morbo, León LAFC for like the second time in the year would be great. The one team that I like, even in my bracket prediction, I have Mazatlan going far, but only because, like, if they win this game, kind of want to beat Dallas. They'll face if Miami beats Orlando, and I really would love Mazatlan. Yes, Mazatlan versus Miami, El Clásico Mazatlan. I don't know, but just imagine losing to Mazatlan. Like, it'll be interesting. I want to see the headlines to that, and just because
they won't let it happen.
The Carlos, no, you're jinxing it already by
No,
I'm not jinxing it.
Putting
I
it
want
into
it to happen.
putting it
But
into the
there's-
universe just by thinking it, Carlos.
Let me put on my tinfoil hat.
Yes, you got to
No,
put
I
your
just-
tinfoil hat.
I just think that the
Yeah,
the league is gonna just do what it can to get Messi into the final.
yeah.
It's not
Well,
going to happen. That
You don't
team
think
is
so?
that team is trash,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that the league can do to make them not trash enough to get him to a final. I'm so even on the easier side of the bracket, they just
but
they
they
can't
gave
do
really
it.
Messi
are on
a
the
free
easier side.
kick. They
didn't give him a
They
goal,
gave
Cotty.
Messi a free kick.
They
That
didn't
was
give him
not a
they
free
did not
kick.
give him a goal though.
They did
Yes.
Cruz Azul dirty.
Yeah, all you really have to
Miami
do is like send
has
off a
the easy
player.
They didn't score the winning goal for him though. There's nothing they can. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do to. I will stand by this. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not. There's not enough they could do on this earth to get that
Louis, they
God
can do
awful Inter
whatever
Miami side
they
to a final.
want. They can do
It's not
whatever
gonna
they
happen,
want.
Gotti. It's not gonna happen.
They can do
Well, it's
whatever
not
they
gonna happen.
want.
Today's game is
It's not
great.
gonna happen.
We'll see what
I
happens
actually
against Orlando then, because
I think Orlando's gonna
They
win
could win.
today. Honestly. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
we could actually lose today and not even have to face Mazatlan and have to lose to them. But I could see them getting help today, like getting un penal que no era, and then against Mazatlan, like, it's Mazatlan, and then, oh, you think it's Mazatlan, and then get scored like 3-0. And then,
I would love that.
yeah, I think I would love that. Like for Morelia Morado, it'll be good for their history.
For Morelia, what else?
Yeah.
A little 3-year history.
See, I'm already representing Mazatlan with my purple top.
Dang. Sorry, so into me too. Actually, though, I kind of saw the bracket. I'm like, I can see Mazatlan getting all the way up to like, because then they'll be ridiculous. They'll just be like, to lose against Mazatlan and you're Messi, and you're buying like players like Busquets and I think Iniesta's coming or I think Jordi Alba. I don't know, man. Like they're building something out.
Iniesta supposedly is coming, but this is,
but
the Barcelona was the Barcelona retirement home full or what?
Barca 2.0. That's
This
what I'm
is
telling
Barca
you. They
sub-
can do whatever they
40.
want. Beckham could do whatever he wants. There it is.
Well, props to Beckham. Yeah, he's happy at least. Out of all of this, he is the happiest for sure because that was his dream since day one when he came to the U.S. with LA Galaxy, and he was already back then talking about like, oh, this could be a place that could MLS. Already talking about how it could be a growing league, and then next thing you know, he has a team, and then he said it one day. I would love to have Messi because I think Messi was already going to Miami or something like that. Now he's actually there, so it's crazy for MLS fan.
The fact that people like buy those insane tickets and then as soon as Messi subs off, they leave.
They leave. Like, bro, you just stay there to the end. I'll stay there to the end. But then maybe there's traffic. I don't know Miami. I don't know how Miami works. Probably get a guy. Nah, they're just being casuals, huh?
Miami fans are almost as fair weather as LA fans. No, sorry, Carlos, you're not really an LA fan. You're out in
Anaheim.
In Anaheim,
He's
that's
Corona,
Anaheim.
California, bro. That's the guys are the cool LAs. The cool LAs.
Like Laker fans. I mean, they're almost that level of fair weather.
So going over just 3 out of the match 3, Cruz Azul won in penalties against Atlanta United. Necaxa eliminated, joining
They
the club.
celebrated that.
I know with Santos and the rest. Santos lost 3-2. Crazy game. Pumas won 3-0. Glorious Juarez, as we were talking about, beat Austin at 3-1. Ratlas 1-0 against Toronto.
You say Ratlas?
I always do, Javi.
I do too, man. They gotta understand you're Ratlas for life.
New York Red Bulls beating San Luis 2-1. Typical Viernes Botanero game, Xolos and Querétaro 1-0. I saw something on Twitter about Montesinos, who was previously at Xolos, now at Querétaro, and like Piojo getting into it in the locker rooms or something like that.
Piojo, I would.
Did you guys watch the game?
No.
There was like 50 people in the stands. And
How many?
I'm exaggerating, but it was like the lowest turnout.
Well, no,
what about Juarez?
The Mazatlan Juarez game was worse.
That was like
there was no
208 people or something like that.
So
It was
like
pathetic.
if your League's Cup, why don't you schedule those games in like a big city like, LA, where people will come out
no matter what, huh?
no matter what. Like, because if you want to make
Or
that,
better yet,
you want to make that bank.
Or better yet, have Liga MX versus Liga MX games in Mexico.
Yeah. Like once it gets to this point, like have it like where it's like la segunda ronda should be like that, ida y vuelta like that. Just the first
I just think
group
the
phase.
whole thing should be like that, but that's just my humble opinion.
Yeah,
It
because
will.
in the beginning,
You know what? It will. I've been thinking about that today, Gary, about how you said Liga MX teams are at a disadvantage because we're over here, going from hotel to hotel, flight to flight. So I was thinking today, I was like, who's going to be the first owner or manager or coach or player who's going to be like the first domino to fall and be like, I'm not playing this tournament unless we have, 2 legs, one here, one there. Because if it's only played over there, I'm going to spend a whole month with my family out there, hotel to hotel, flight after flight. And that takes a toll mentally,
stopping your
players,
tournament,
physically on the players. And so I'm waiting to see who's going to be the team that speaks out or subliminally sends out a message like, yeah, some of these games should be played over here, or this tournament is trash, it shouldn't be played, we don't want to be a part of it. Like I feel like
Lalo, yeah.
I feel like Chivas didn't take this tournament seriously at all. Because I think Chivas are in debt with their fans. They want to win that Liga MX title so bad that they don't even care about the Leagues Cup. Like, imagine being a Chivas fan and being
they cared.
At least we won
They
the
cared.
Leagues
They
Cup.
played terribly, Carlos. They played terribly. It was not like they weren't trying. They were just bad because they are bad.
Yeah, they cared.
Well, I think they cared because of the coach's decisions on starting some players and benching some players, and that they would rather have the youngsters play versus like the big names, because the big names only show up when they want to. But to go back to Carlos, I think it will be interesting. I mean, obviously, I think the league, right, was in agreement with this, so I don't know. There's some type of like code, and they're not saying anything, or maybe once this Leagues Cup is completed, if anyone will say anything, that would be interesting. But I don't know if maybe that would damage them or not, or you just don't know.
You guys follow Soccer Nerds on Twitter?
I feel like
they had a good take today, and they said there's more to this deal, this Leagues Cup, the deals, than just what goes on on the pitch, on the football. I'm paraphrasing, but they said maybe there's some owners got like, hey, we'll give your kid a scholarship to some university here if you agree to this deal. Hey, maybe you'll get this or you'll get that. Like, there's bribery, but not really bribery, right? Because you're not giving someone money. You're giving someone there you go. You're giving someone access to something, some resource that they can't normally get access to. Like, hey, you have a job one day in MLS, or hey, your kid can go to UCLA or Harvard or whatever. And so they signed off on it.
Messi just scored for Inter Miami.
I can see Iraragorri being like the guy that's like, yeah, I agree with this. Get my son into Harvard or something. But right? It is. I think it is something where the los más poderosos, and even though Jesus Martinez Patiño may not be one of the ones that is like in, let's say, the most liked or the one that's in that little circle, I think they all kind of signed off on the fact that they knew economically this is going to be, because if you see the comparison to what like this Leagues Cup is trying to do, it's trying to do what maybe Conca Champions should be already had been doing, where it could be more than anything un torneo que al final could economically benefit you, kind of like right now what La Libertadores is right now. I was trying to tell people like what they make el campeón and cómo se reparten el dinero, which is something that Champions League has, like, it's something that all the great leagues have been doing, and I think it came really, really late to Mexico, and now they're trying to do with the Leagues Cup, which makes sense because el mercado mexicano is so powerful in the United States. So it fills up stadiums, but a Mazatlán and Juárez isn't going to fill that up. Y lo de los viajes sí es desventaja for sure. For los equipos mexicanos. The thing that happened to León fue una falla en la logística, It's just like not being able to kind of foresee kind of like they have to do better when it comes to that. Kind of, I think what it is too is you saw how Pachuca, they didn't have a group. They just kind of went straight to the second round. Same with LAFC. If there is going to be more MLS teams, then for sure this is going to change. I think what it was is that it should probably be only one Mexican team per group. You know, have kind of. I think that's the reason why the Juarez Mazatlan, if you actually see that group, I think that's one of the only groups that had two Mexican teams and then just one, which is Austin.
Well, it was that group and then the Tijuana Querétaro group.
Yeah, and those were the two games that you guys just mentioned that nobody actually went to go see them.
Yeah,
so
if those games were played in Mexico, they would have actually drawn like a huge crowd.
Yeah. Especially Tijuana. I think Tijuana should be an exception. Tijuana should probably be the only. It's like a San Diego had a place. Yeah, in a way. Like there's just so many things they could still tap into this that could be better, but to completely be like, nah, this is a bad idea. I'm like half and half with you guys because I know half is like, nah, it shouldn't happen. I know Louis like I think it's half and half. I think it could be better, but the only reason why I kind of do like it is for equipos como Mazatlán y Bravos. Si la aprovecha, they're making money right now. The more they advance and the more the games they win, because when you won a game,
but they have money.
It's not a lot of money.
They have money. No, they do have money. It's
but I'm saying it compared to like the fact, like to compete against Cemex, to compete against como Grupo, Orlegui, like it's kind of hard for them to get those contrataciones bombas. It's just the way like what Libertadores and these other torneos were supposed to be. Like if you were to become campeón, lo que va a ser el Mundial de Clubes in China, or sorry, not in China anymore, in the US in 2 years. That's going to be very interesting for León. If León sale de su grupo, they're going to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So it's a way by how it should have always been. If you win your championship, you go to a Conca Champions and you win that, yeah, you should be benefited with money. So you continue to invest that money. Que tanto trabajases bien otra vez and it keeps going. You can become a club like that. Instead of having to always have
it gives
to
teams an incentive to play well.
Yes, exactly.
But unfortunately, you feel like, Javier, I agree with you. But unfortunately, Leagues Cup is not all about football. Like the best interest is not football. It's money.
Money. Well, that's what I'm saying.
And that's when things fall apart. It's like, if executives, if the suits are doing it in their best interest for the money and for the TV viewership, Apple TV, then the football quality goes down. Like you don't get the same football quality.
And here's the thing. Since day one, I said it's all about the money. I never thought about it as more as of un reemplazo a lo que es era la Libertadores. Mm-hmm. Since 1996, the moment they started doing torneos cortos, los manda grandes in the fútbol mexicano. Back then, it was just Escárraga. Salina was barely getting his hands into it because I think Azteca had barely licensed to 3 teams. Back then, Televisa, everything was streamed in Televisa. They decided to do it like that because they knew it was going to be dos torneos, dos liguillas, more money. And in a way, since then, you kind of just saw how todo lo que se mueve en el fútbol mexicano is just about money. It's not about desarrollando jugadores or even in making it kind of fair when in terms of que haga más puntos, que salga campeón. They just want la emoción de una liguilla y I don't know. It's something where I feel we don't have. I think Jose Ramon about like 10 years ago on ESPN kind of just said, kind of like playing but crying. Escarga, por el amor de Dios. Si amas tanto el fútbol mexicano, lárgate ya. It's true. He's very powerful. He's very influential, but I don't think he has any idea how to structure un organismo como lo que debería ser el fútbol mexicano. Now, Iraragorri came into the scene and now quitaron los descensos. So, like, there's no way we can expect to have a very competitive. Even then, though, I still think it's interesting enough to have this debate which league is better, MLS or Liga Mexicana, right? Even though we know Liga Mexicana has been doing las cosas mal in these kind of aspects. So whatever this League's Cup ends up being, and you're right, it's not about. But I don't think León might can become a better team, but maybe the experience. Who knows? As long as I just see León on top in every tournament they can play, I'm good with that. As long as León gets to this final y la ganan y así como lo que significó para el fútbol mexicano when León won la Coca Champions, You know, like oh, otra vez el León. If they win this League's Cup, I think it's the same thing, man. I don't think no one's gonna be like, era una copa de chocolate. I think some people are gonna be like, nah, you know, some very just because Chivas lost in the first round, you know, they're gonna be probably the ones that are gonna be like, we didn't take it seriously. Yeah, it shouldn't exist. Yeah, because you lost.
If you watch them play, they took it seriously. They were just terrible because they are terrible, and nobody wants to see it.
Pero Louis, you got to know una final, Louis. Come on, you can't say that, Louis. Come on.
Yeah, we got kicked out like in repechaje.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but again, I think we took
the
in the Boca champion, even though it's not an excuse.
Orlando has equalized. By the way, 1-1.
Louis happy.
Yeah.
I just want to read a tweet that made me laugh. Because Carlos had mentioned soccer nerds, because I was just seeing what they tweet, because you know a lot of things they say I agree with, or I'm like laughing at.
You have the tweet in front of you?
Yeah, I have the tweet in front of me.
Go for it.
It says, well, no, I already had read yours in my head. I just don't want to read it out loud. But this is another one that I was laughing about. So he says, so shout out to soccer nerds. I want to know what kind of food and diet arrangements each Liga MX team has. Bullet point, specialty customized service. Bullet point, high-end hotel kitchen. Bullet point, regular room service. Then he goes, because I wouldn't be shocked to find out Necaxa is staying at a Motel 6 and eating Burger King around the corner.
Nah, come on, man. Don't do Necaxa.
It was just a funny tweet. I was like, it just made me laugh.
Nah, I think it's not like that, but you know, who knows?
No,
maybe
it's a joke, but
yeah,
it was funny.
I just think it's gonna be something mejor más adelante. You know, when these first tournaments started, they weren't all great in the beginning. But the only reason why I'm saying this is porque León tiene una Leagues Cup que obviamente no cuenta. But heck, maybe in years to come, they're gonna be like, you know, those two first Leagues Cups sí cuentan y es otro torneo internacional para León. Which is what I'm saying is this: I think León should just try to win every tournament they're in. At this point, León just has to win championships. Any championship they're in, or get the furthest. If we're gonna go to this Copa del Mundo, try to get to la final y ganarla. It's Manchester City. It's hard. It's almost impossible. I get it, but just make it. And if you face Manchester City in, you know, the semifinals, un partido digno. You know, I just want León to be always on all of the finales que se puedan jugar. Just que sea protagonista.
Yeah.
Don't be Chivas in this cup.
So if you had to say which tournament we prioritize these next 6 months, besides the Club World Cup, is it Liga MX or Leagues Cup?
Liga
you can say both.
Liga
you said besides the Copa del Mundo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, then La Liga, La Novena.
That's
the most important one.
Like
La
Leagues
Novena
Cup is just one. It's So
I mean, we don't have to win. We don't have to win Leagues Cup, but I will be disappointed. I mean, I want them to shoot.
You don't want to.
I want them to try as hard as they can for top 3 position to get
exactly.
To get a
you don't want to be
Champions
Austin
Cup
FC
spot.
losing to Mazatlan and Bravos. This is more a cup for bragging rights and not to, because for Austin FC, man. So my favorite de todos los posts that I saw was like, esto es para que Austin FC ya no sea equipo de fútbol y desaparezca. To lose against Mazatlan, to lose against Juarez. Message before that, you lost against. I mean, Violet. We lost against Violet too, but you know, we had one at the El Global.
Did you guys see how there was an Austin reporter that was talking to the Mazatlan, I think it was Mazatlan or Querétaro, the coach, in a post conference, after the post game, and he was like, "Oh, we were celebrating when we knew that we drew, you know, that we were going to play against you guys." And he was like, "Oh, really? We were also celebrating too, because we know Austin's a great team, and they're going to make us play at a high level." And like that was like one of the best comebacks you'll ever hear.
Good.
Yeah.
What in the world in his mind said to say something like that? I mean, I would ban myself if I said something like that. Like that's the most stupid comment that he's.
It was like a reporter who said that.
Yeah,
it was an Austin reporter. Yeah.
There's two. That's a second dumb report. Like the other guy was telling Nacho.
There was another dude too.
That was funny.
Oh yeah, Nacho Ambriz one.
That was a funny.
Which one was that one?
Oh my
Colorado.
God! In
They're
Colorado.
Like, hey, because Colorado was gonna face Toluca, right? And they asked Nacho Ambriz pretty much like, "Hey man, you know, like, so you think you're ready for us? Because you know la altura de acá, you know." And he was like, "Well, you know, Toluca is más alto de Colorado, you know, like it's we're good with con la altura. Oh, really? Yeah, like it's más alto
Yeah.
en Toluca. Oh, eso no me la sabía. And I'm like, we should
Yeah,
have been ready for
the
it.
ignorance is pretty
Oh
rampant.
man.
That was
I
pretty
went to
ignorant.
I went to the Timbers Tigres game, and people were asking where Tigres where is this team from? I was.
Oh my goodness.
But I think
was,
it'd be equally if
That's
you ask
MLS
people
for
over
you.
there, it's the same thing, you know. Like in Mexico, hey, ¿dónde es Cincinnati? Well, Cincinnati, obviously. But like, if you ask them, like, what do you know about them? There's a lot of teams that like St. Louis's new teams. I have no clue about any of them. You know, like, and I think like Columbus beating America like that. Like, I think Columbus is a strong team historically. So you know, that was also interesting to see.
They are, and they had just sold Celerayan that morning.
Yeah, he went to Arabia, right?
He went to Saudi Arabia, which is where I wish Davila were going.
Yeah, instead of going to Russia.
Lucas is always a player that I would want in Leon.
Yeah,
and unfortunately,
he was good with Tigres.
He left.
This is actually a really good
like,
segue for our next topic.
I feel like they might have, maybe they lo buscaron at some point. I want to say maybe they did, but it never happened.
Yeah, I think you're right. There was a time where
there was a rumor. Yeah, there was a rumor.
It was around the time he actually went up to Columbus Crew.
Yeah,
but it speaks to the toxicity that Tigres has with some really good players that they never really give a chance to, like Diente Lopez, who's rumored.
Yeah,
who's rumored to be.
Who's rumored?
On our radar.
No? Un ataque uruguayo en totalidad.
And just before we started the pod, I saw that Lucamon confirmed that he would love to have Diente
there's reports saying
his squad.
There's reports saying that there's already a formal offer for him for $3 million. $3 million because he only has $3 million because he only has 4 months left. So you're basically getting a contract for 4 months for $3 million. Everyone's
and
like,
I heard something that Tigres wants a ridiculous, like to double the amount, but está alegando what you just said, Carlos, that he's gonna walk free anyway, so might as well just take it.
Yeah, he's not gonna resign with Tigres. So
it's like no one's giving him an offer like that for Tigres. So
but
Tigres should be like,
still sign him.
Yeah, see, that was one of the confusing things about Liga Mexicana. I thought it was ya no se podía, but apparently there's time.
Yeah,
there's still
there's still time. There's still like 2-3 weeks left.
Yeah,
whatever it is. But
oh my God.
But yeah, Diente Lopez is one of those players that like he won the goal scoring title when Gignac was out that whenever he was injured a couple years ago, and then he was never used again. He was never given a fair chance, and now he's on our radar. And he could possibly be the answer we're looking for, like to put them away.
Yeah,
I think so. I think Diente Lopez tiene muchas right now para el equipo del Arcamón that would be like, all right, see, I'm not that mad anymore because like I'm not mad that they're
Lopez and Viñas, together.
Yeah, maravilla.
See, I want to see more Viñas because Viñas with the couple minutes, I'm like, I'm intrigued. What he can come with. But now the question is, which I don't see any reports, but is Plátano okay? Like, is he okay?
Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't played. It's very strange. He hasn't even been in matchday squads.
I can't remember who said it. Someone said una molestia. So I don't know how
worth
serious
risking,
it is.
Do you remember there was a game? I think it was the LAFC once. I think it was the one in León, Luis. I think he played y salió medio lesionado, right? He salió, I remember asking, like, ¿quién salió? Como que se agarró. And since then, I think he probably had un tipo de molestia. I'm not sure it was that game, but
interesting.
I mean, that makes sense. I just hope he gets better because
it's not worth risking him, though. So if he's just chilling, recovering for, later, then all to him.
Yeah.
So halftime Mazatlán, FC Dallas 0-0, and Pachuca Houston Dynamo. So if it stays the same, we'll go to penalties, and I will be watching the Mazatlán one
too, man.
as well.
See, that's another thing. We can't deny that this whole point system is interesting and weird.
I don't like it because the Puebla game went to penalties, but it was just penalties.
They were already out.
Yeah, so I'm like, what's the point? Oh, it's exciting.
They should have groups of. I mean, it's just hard when you have groups of three to do a regular point system.
Yeah.
So they should do groups of. They should do groups of 4, and
groups of
4 regular.
Keep it at 4 because
I do think they should have fewer teams, though. It doesn't. I mean, there are teams that have shown they have no business being there.
Mm-hmm.
Like in both leagues.
It should be
in
shorter.
both leagues.
It should be
Yeah.
like como una calificatoria. Like if you're in the if you're in the last 4 positions del torneo de la Liga Mexicana, you're not going to Leagues Cup.
But the thing is, Javi, that's where the thing is how we have talked about in the previous. Like then Copa MX needs to come back because then what are the lower teams going to play for? If the lower teams are always going to be the lower teams for the next couple of seasons, what are they going to play for? Only the top teams get to play. I'm like, to me, it's like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then in relegation and all that stuff, it's again, I think all that needs to come back.
Yeah, la Copa needs to come back, and this Leagues Cup needs to be shorter. It shouldn't be this long. It should be shorter. Not todos califican. And the only reason why I say that, porque it could be a great Copa, como una tipo de pretemporada Copa or something, whatever the heck they're trying to do. Because the thing,
it doesn't even need to be. It doesn't even need to be shorter. Just don't. You don't have to play it all at once, and you can play some of the matches in Mexico.
That could be it too. That could be it too.
Yeah, like midweek matches.
Yeah, I mean, just do it the same way they do CCL
like Libertadores
now. Well, yeah, I mean, any of that stuff. Just people in the teams involved in CCL in the same cycle would not be involved in Leagues Cup.
What I would love to see is that after each round, those who qualify go through what do they call when you pull the little balls out of the thing? A draw. Like in Champions League. So nobody knows who they're playing. Yeah. Right?
It's more,
it's even more. You can literally play anyone, whoever you draw against. That'd be
those
because
you don't get the whole messy bracket, easy bracket thing. You know, it's like it just because and historically that's why they started doing that because they can kind of like they say we'll put this group here and then if they'll face they do it like that with the draw and Champions it makes it a little better. Copa MX Leagues Cup. Bring back the Copa
MX games. They were fun.
And the Leagues Cup you can actually do it the way Louis is saying. For like July till December, so it doesn't have to be like un torneo largo because it's like Conca Champions. That's only from like January to like May or June, early June or whatever. Para que no se empalmen. Y la Copa la hace un torneo largo, pero también igual como dicen ustedes.
Okay, moving ahead. So tomorrow's matches will be New York Red Bulls in New York City, Pumas Querétaro, Atlas New England, DC Philadelphia, Charlotte, whatever you want to say, Cruz Azul, and Charlotte. And Leon, Real Salt Lake. So question, I mean, is it still on Google like the first team's home and then the second's away or no?
I don't know.
Yes, except obviously when the Mexican team is listed first.
Also, it's backwards. So technically we are away.
That's the dumbest thing you can do. Leon's home team playing in Vancouver.
For administrative purposes, they're the home team.
Yeah, okay. But it makes zero sense. We
dumb.
don't even know if we collect like the ticket sales. Like we don't even know.
I mean, that was my theory that's the why they do it so that each team has the equal opportunity to collect the ticket sales from a match. But I don't even know if that's how they're doing. I don't even think that's how they're doing it. No, I don't know.
It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like it would be unfair if that's
all that money. Pero hay un dinero que se reparte por partido que se gane.
Yeah. Okay, so quickly because we're running out of time. Okay, so tomorrow, Real Salt Lake. I think we had mentioned a bit in the beginning, but any more of maybe a lineup? Vamos con lo repetimos. Any changes?
I'm hoping we see Viñas in there instead of Rubio if Platano is not healthy.
At 100.
I'm hoping you see Viñas in there. Elias didn't start the last game against Galaxy, so I hope we see him in there. Mena, the usuals, Jefecito, Perro, usual defense, Cota. Yeah.
What was satisfying about the Galaxy game, was just when you said Mena, is the Mena and Ivan Moreno kept doing the same thing on a wing, and I don't know if Galaxy did not do anything about it. It was like the same type of play back to back. Paredes, here you go, dámela, te la regreso. It was just satisfying to watch the connection they have.
Yeah.
Well, the connection of those two is basically what this attack is Yeah, you say what you will about Mena, and he's not the player that he once was, and he's not scoring goals at as efficient of a clip as he once did. But the two of them and that connection, I mean, that's kind of what makes a big part of this attack what it is. So, we're gonna get as far as that takes us. Until Mena's replaced and they find someone with more gas left in the tank. But I mean, until that happens, that dupla is very important to what we're trying to do.
So are all these matches one-offs?
They are.
Okay.
And they go direct to penalties. No extra time. I don't believe even in the final.
No.
Wow. So tomorrow's winner go home then.
Yes, winner go home. No
Yeah.
tying.
But if we have another penalty shootout, at least we're well prepared.
Hopefully that works for something.
And hopefully Cota can have his
Be on his A game.
Cota. Like Cota that day, I was like, dude, Cota, please, man, because this is gonna be until they, fail. I just thought he gave up like on twice. I thought he was so tired.
Would have blocked at least one of those.
Yeah. Well, that's my theory. Like, dude, you think Blanco is probably a better, penalty stopper?
I mean, I think it may not be a good time to give Rodolfo Cota a day off, but at least you could have given him a day off against Vancouver, at least against Galaxy. Give Poncho Blanco some minutes, man. Like, don't just have him sitting on the bench. Well, he's a proven goalkeeper. Like, anytime he's played with us, I remember maybe one mistake that he did, but he was always on top of his game.
Mm-hmm. He's good. He's a good goal. And you know what? It's interesting you said that because you know what's happening in Pachuca. Apparently, Mustari left because of that whole thing. That they were gonna. Almada said, "No, tú no vas a ir a ser titular en el Leagues Cup. Le voy a dar minutos al segundo portero." And I guess Mustari he didn't like that. So
and he
I want to be titular.
And he left. Yeah.
Well, he went to Jesus Martinez. He said, "Hey, man, Almada's doing this," and let me go talk to him. And next thing you know, he's being sold. So it was like, whoa. Almada's like, nah.
It's like egos. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, they're benching you, then be a professional and be benched. Like, don't go crying. Like, it's. I think that's just so. I mean, I think
let the other guy get minutes too.
Yeah, but just even like, I mean, the whole being a goalie journey, it's tough. Like, it's tough. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think, put myself in the position, but I can only imagine like the tough struggles they go to, whether they're like a starter or they're just waiting for an opportunity. It must be tough. So I definitely agree. I mean, I think with Carlos, Poncho should have gone at least a game or here. So, porque must,
Yeah, that's a hard job. I mean, how do you balance knowing you could go several years without playing a single minute, but knowing that at a moment's notice you have to be ready to play at your best level?
Yeah. I mean, they go through the same like concentración, they train and todo. It's just you're just sitting there waiting, like Louis had said.
Yeah.
Waiting forever.
And había rumores que se iba a ir, ¿no? And eventually he stayed.
Yeah, to Cruz Azul, but never happened.
Gracias a Dios.
Did you guys see the press conference con William Yarbrough?
I did.
Yes. Yeah.
I was reminiscing. I was like, oh, old times.
Pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me because then someone was, I forget who posted it. I think Paco Montes. And I don't know who wrote something. And I'm like, hey, más respeto, son for más respeto. You know, it's one of, I don't know. Someone said que Navarro, I don't know. They were talking about some players. And some other guy said, este es más leyenda, este es bicampeón con la Fiera. I'm like, yeah, put some respect on Yarbrough's name. And then I made my own little list of like the best of all time. He's definitely top 5. You know, I think he was, de los mejores de los últimos años. And en Cota, I think si es porque él tiene un bicampeonato. En Cota has un campeonato y una CONCACAF, but I think it gets down to the point where I think Cota's a little bit more. Es más seguro, ¿sabes? Aunque también ha hecho errores, pero William, he had other things he could have gotten better at. I think when it comes to skill wise, I think Cota's a little better. But when it comes to championships, when it comes to historia, Yarbrough's up there with Cota. He's up there with Arenaza, with Carvajal.
Was William part of the Ascenso?
No, él vino después. Él estaba con Titanes still. El Melitón fue el que ascendió. But I'm not sure if he was if he was already there in el Ascenso or he came later. Because I think he was with Titanes until 2012. And then
he was definitely He was definitely on the bench in the final de ascenso.
The ascenso, right? And
Yeah.
then he came, but I think Cristian I don't know when Cristian Martinez came, but that was like the little history of William. I think he was with Titanes, and then he came to León right when ascendieron, pero Melito no era el portero.
Yeah,
Era
for sure.
And then also, when it comes to porteros, you know, like, I mean, the whole thing about William, what I thought was cool was that también cuando él se fue, I remember it was a sad thing. They announced it like that day, and they were like, "You want to say bye to him? Go to El Arco de la Calzada." I remember a lot of people just went to El Arco de la Calzada y se despidieron de él. And then hay maneras de irte.
He left because we brought in that other goalkeeper, Sebastian something.
Fassi,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so William was like la tercera opción behind Cota.
Well, I mean, even then he'd been the starter on a double title winning team when he was still really young. Like he should have been in the prime of his career, but they brought in Cota, and Cota was obviously the better option. So regardless of who else they brought in, I mean, he was looking for a place where he could start, and so that's how he ended up in Colorado. And to his credit, that team hasn't done much of anything ever, but he's
there.
He's been their starter, their unquestioned number one since he got there.
He did a good job. Like as a portero or as any athlete, you don't want to. I mean, some players there's a history of a lot of them, but muchos de ellos they're comfortable con siendo banca. They're comfortable getting paid good salaries and not doing anything. But then there's other players that they want to have a history. They want to have un legado. And you know, Hierro did well and asked if he could leave because he no iba a ser titular. You know, he said I might as well go somewhere else. Where nothing against León or la institución. It's nothing personal. It's just you have to go find the best job for your career, and I think he did the best thing. Pero pues para la gente que no se acuerda, there's some people like, nah, this guy. I don't know. I saw that comment, and I'm like, bro, you understand this guy's a legend. Because the people, I think he started to use como recordar, and then he was like, se hubiera quedado más tiempo como este y como el otro, my boy, este es bicampeón. Otros ganaron solamente un torneo. But anyway, regardless of what he won or didn't win with León, I think it's always great to have players that remember the team fondly. ¿Verdad? Que aunque jugaron aquí y se van, you know, I never liked the players that come and then they play and then they leave, but you know, son hinchas de otros equipos, you know, they go further. It was like their time here. It kind of like, hopefully, I think, well, I mean, historically, there's players that just come to play because que sienten como mercenarios. You know, they just come, they just come for your team because you pay them well. But what you want the most is players que salgan como hinchas de tu equipo. You know, players that come to your team and they end up like falling in love with your city. Huh?
Gigliotti, for example.
Gigliotti. I mean, players como, por ejemplo, como en León, like right in the beginning, cuando León se hizo un equipo, they brought in 5 argentinos. Y 3 de ellos se quedaron en León para siempre. You know, uno fue Antonio Bataglia. He came, he fell in love with the city, and then, you know, he built restaurants, and it's one of those things about what I always loved about León and just players that go for León, de León, you know, they just come. Otros ejemplos, Sebastián Mas, Eder Pacheco, players that were here, like in El Ascenso, that they stayed in the city and they live here. You know, Nacho Gonzalez is another example. He was not from here, he's here now, he lives Leonés. Kind of stories like that, you know what I mean? People that come, kind of like nuestro Fiero Viajero, you know, he's also a great example. He came here, he loved the city, now he's Guanajuatense for sure. Just things like that, you know what I mean? Like I want players that could just come and not just, you know, que sea un tipo de no nomás lo deportivo, pero también a lo mejor, and I think Patiño, Jesus Martinez Patiño mentioned this once, el social, the social responsibility of the players in time, at times, you know. For León, I see that as a good thing. For other teams, I'm like, it's not really necessary. But León, it's like a city. It's a big city, and that's their team. So there's always been that whole aspect of that. Like if you come to this team, you feel the whole city, man. You feel the whole city just wanting to be like representados bien. That's all León wants, and the people of León, que sean bien representados, que jueguen partidos bien, que ganen. So yeah, just things like that, you know. Gabriel's one of those players that came, and wherever he's at, he's always going to talk fondly. Like Marcelo Balboa, that's another great example. I think that's one of the coolest examples because he played here for like 3-4 years. But that's, I love hearing him in Tldp. Y tu equipo, Marcelo La Fiera. And then I like hearing that. Yeah, arriba La Fiera. I like hearing that, bro. I just like hearing it. I like hearing people. That's my team. I'm tired of hearing people como everyone que le va a la América. Everyone comes here to va a, Chivas. It's like, nah, I want more Leoneses, more of us in medios, just talking about Leon.
Yeah, that's been the most annoying thing about this Leagues Cup is the U.S. media.
Yeah.
Talking, when they talk about Liga MX clubs, they only know how to talk about America and the 2 Monterrey clubs. That's pretty much it. And Chivas occasionally.
Chivas.
Yeah. But like we are the reigning CCL champions, and this is that was only like that was 2 months ago. That was 2 months ago. And, that was the last important thing that happened in CONCACAF club competition, and we are the champions of it, and they still don't want to give us any respect. That's the reason, more than anything, I want to do well in this tournament. So, how much do we have to win before they start talking about us? Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But it starts with doing well in this tournament, too. It's important for the legacy of the club.
Yeah. There you go, Louis. That's what I think as well.
Yeah, they don't even talk about us as being favorites, even though we're rating CCL champs.
Yeah. Y tampoco not even in the Mexican media, man. That was another thing. Ricardo Puig.
That's true, too.
Ricardo Puig was the only one, and there's a video, and lo subió, todo, Fiera Manía, one of those. They were
I gotta see it. I haven't seen
it. Yeah, it was because everybody's, Monterrey, Tigres, and then, y voy a agregar uno que te están olvidando, el León que es el campeón vigente de la CONCACAF, y no sé por qué no hablamos más de León, pero León que está ganando, jugando bien, también es favorito para ganarlo. Yeah, I'll send it to you because it's interesting. Like, it's just this, I don't know if they do it on purpose. I don't know if it's one of those, just, it's a complex that I have where it's like, I feel like siempre los menosprecian, how every fan is like that to some point. They kind of exaggerate, like siempre contra mi equipo. Like, calm down, bro, calm down. It's all of us, you know what I mean? So I don't want to, no quiero pecar de eso. Like I'm just like think it's only us. But at times it just feels like, man, what the heck, bro? I feel Toluca gets it the worst though. I feel like Toluca should be a team like they should always be taught. Después de ganar tantos títulos, and it's just like they're the most forgotten. Like that's even
Leon has done way more to be talked about as of late than Toluca has.
Yes, that's even more credit to what we're trying to say. There's no excuse for the U.S. or Mexican media not to even have Leon as a favorite in this Leagues Cup, or even talk like hablando como una posibilidad de que lleguen lejos. They just the fact that they're saying, America, Tigres, and they're all going to have to, that's the worst part about this bracket. They're all going to have to face each other before the final.
Yeah.
So we're going to see which one is actually the best.
Yeah, the imbalance in the brackets kind of will make this knockout phase and not kind of an inaccurate representation of what, the final will not be necessarily the most accurate representation of what the tournament was. But so it looks like Kari has had to depart for personal reasons, and so we're starting to run long. So I think we better do prediction time and get out of here, guys.
Let's do prediction time, guys. Everybody start thinking about predictions. Chat. If anyone's still with us, feel free to drop your predictions for tomorrow's Real Salt Lake versus Leon. Let's go to prediction time.
Prediction time.
Javier, let's start with you.
Rápidamente. Mañana La Fiera. And I wish I was in Utah, man. It's one of the days that I'm not there. But I think the way I envision it, me being there, creo que Leo va a golear, gustar y ganar. Ganar 3-0.
Wow. Okay. 3-0.
Solid. Salt Lake.
Is it turf? Is it turf? It's real.
It is not turf. It's natural grass.
Okay.
Natural grass. It's all right. I like it. I like sandy.
Louis.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't rain too much. There was a chance of rain that day, and I hope it doesn't affect the conditions of the pitch or anything like that, because that never seems to go in Leon's favor. But I'm not going to go 3-0. I will go 2-0 though. I think this is going to be a pretty straightforward win for Leon. They're nice and rested. I think they realize the opportunity they have in front of them, and I think they're not gonna let this pass them by. I think they're gonna get a nice solid 2-0 win for the Leon faithful. I will be in attendance for this. I'm leaving very early tomorrow morning from Portland to get there on time, and I'm excited for it. It'll be my stadium number 38 with this team, so I'm looking forward to that.
Damn.
And anybody who I might see around there, looking forward to seeing some friendly Leon faces there, and I'll be reporting from the ground once I get in, and looking forward to it. So 2-0.
Our guy Arturo Ruiz on the chat said he was actually going tomorrow. So Arturo, if you want to reach out to us on Twitter, Lions Den Podcast, let us know, and maybe you and Louis can link up for a beer. Or
right? Louis is our guy that we send
a quick pregame report.
That should be my job, huh, Louis?
Or just a shake.
It should be.
Hand.
Shut up, Louis. Don't say it like that. That's always my job. Every game we go and stuff, like I just make friends anywhere and they buy us a beer. But that's crazy, Louis. Are you gonna stay for the game and the next day you're gonna come to San Diego and then go back to Leon?
Yeah, so I got a whirlwind a couple of days to eventually get back to Guanajuato. I start new orchestra season on Monday.
Okay.
So I have to be back there by Sunday, and
wow.
So tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, just gonna stay. I'm gonna crash one night in Utah. Head down to San Diego on Friday. Hopefully, still holding out hope that I can find a way up to one of those games against one of those Mariners Angels games at the Big A. As we know, we've got our resident Angel fan up over here. Still hoping to find a way to do that. Not getting my hopes up, but still trying to find a way. And then leaving late Saturday night from TJ for El Bajío to get back to normalcy. But yeah, it's gonna be a whirlwind couple of days to make this trip to Utah, then get back to Guanajuato. So
nice.
Looking forward to it.
Well, hopefully we can hang out when you're out here in San Diego.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
Yeah, Carlos.
I'm gonna be a little more conservative. Just looking at how the matches are playing out right now. Pachuca, Houston still 0-0. Miami, Orlando 1-1. I think tomorrow's match between Leon and Real Salt Lake is going to be a lot closer than you guys think. I think eventually it'll go down for us as a 2-1 win, but it's going to be really close. Like, this is a knockout round. Nobody wants to make a mistake. Nobody wants to give up any freebies. It's going to be, I don't know about a 3-0, Javier. I don't know about a 2-0 either. But I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to go down to the wire. Leon in the 85th minute header de Fidel Ambriz puts it in. 2-1 Leon tomorrow.
3-0 Leon. Goleada. Van a gustar, golear y ganar.
No, I think 2-0. I think
rain. Happy.
I'm still going with 2-0. I think you're right though, Carlos. I think I don't think neither side is going to take ridiculous chances. It might not be a particularly open game. But these teams have never played each other. They know very little about each other, too. They're going to spend the first 15, 20 minutes or so feeling each other out. And at that point, each side's going to see which weaknesses they can attempt to exploit on the other, Mm-hmm. And that's where I think Leon I think their quality will shine through.
Yeah.
And they'll ultimately get the 2-0.
All right. Let's go on and get out of here. Thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. Arturo Ruiz, as always. He's our number one fan. Hopefully you can link up tomorrow with Louis.
Get 4 beers with him, have a good time.
Have a good time. Louis, safe travels. And,
yeah, man.
Hopefully tomorrow we get that win and we come back next week to do another episode.
We will. We have to face LAFC. It's part of our history.
Against LAFC. Or I'm actually rooting for Juarez, so we'll see.
Yeah, part of me wants Juarez to win because then that'd be crazy. Where they Váyanse a León a jugar if they end up playing with each other, because they're gonna end up playing like in LA or something.
Yeah. All right then, y'all. Any last words before we take off?
No.
I think that's about all we got.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us.
Go Padres, not the Mariners and the Angels. We're like in the same boat, guys. Like, we're trying to get into that wild card.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week on another episode of the Lions Den Podcast.